Does radio advertising still work? Yes. And a short answer is yes. Absolutely it works. And I will show you a few things that you may not know about radio advertising. It is alive and well, and it's proven time and time again. This has been going on for years now. And also, we're going to go through a few steps that you can implement immediately in your next campaign or even with your next ad to make it even stronger. So let's jump in. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to know the right way to use radio advertising and how to tweak a commercial and boost a campaign for even better results. So let's dive in. First of all, there's so much going on in the streaming world. People are like, huh, what? Radio? I recognize that word, but what is it? You know, in fact, the funniest thing I ever saw, I remember there was a national crisis a few years ago, and I can't remember what it was, some national emergency. Maybe it was a hurricane or something like that, some natural disaster. And somebody had made the comment online, if there was only a podcast for live and immediate breaking news that we could tune into. And the guy the first person to respond called it, yeah, it's called radio. So yes, and that is actually one of the biggest strengths of radio, that when it comes to immediacy and breaking news, a lot of people will turn to radio first, because not too many people carry their TVs with them. Yes, you can probably watch a news broadcast on your phone, of course. But when you're sitting there in traffic, you turn the radio on and find out what's happening immediately. One of the big surveys that the Radio Advertising Bureau, or RAB, does every year, year after year after year, they do the same survey over and over and over again. And what comes up every single time, solidly and consistently, in any given market, in any given week, you will reach 94 to 98% of that market through radio. Wow. And we're talking 12 years old and older. From 12 plus, you're going to reach 96 to 98% of that population in any given market through radio. Absolutely phenomenal statistic. Nobody else can claim that. There is a slight 1, maybe 1.5% variation. I think it's actually come down from 98.5 to 96. Oh no. Are they feeling threatened? I don't think so. Radio is still very much a powerhouse and available to you today. There are some ways that you can misuse radio. For example, radio is known as one of the mass mediums. It is a mass medium. It goes out and hits a bunch of people. It's TV, it's newspaper, it's radio. Those are all the ones that just blanket the listenership, the population at any given time. Now you can start to niche down. For example, both TV and newspaper, you can start to niche down. Niche down newspaper would be something more along the lines of a magazine. Magazines have specific purposes and specific audiences in mind. Same thing with radio. Radio has a niche audience as well, depending on the format, depending on what music they're playing, whether it's a talk station, and what kind of music they're playing is going to cater to a particular demographic. Now, the beauty of it is, if you know your customers and you can find that demographic in a radio format, it would be a really good idea to maybe put some of your radio ads on that particular station. The matchup is beautiful. One thing that radio is not good for, that would be B2B. If you've got, for example, the one that always comes by my desk and I just produce it and I send it on, would be a conveyor belt company. Do you have a conveyor belt in your living room? How many do you have in your garage? Probably none. A conveyor belt company is not your average Joe walking down the street and walking into the store and checking out the showroom saying, I need a conveyor belt today. That's not what radio is for. Radio is more of a B2C situation. If you have, say, a brick and mortar store or a website, that would be fine. Amazon would do great with radio advertising. Coca-Cola, all those big advertisers, obviously something is still going well with radio for the top 500 industries in the United States to be still using and leveraging radio advertising. B2B, not so much. I would hope that the conveyor belt company has their own salespeople knocking on doors and making specific contacts for the people who need conveyor belts. But you know what would be good for a B2B company to use radio? In their help wanted ads. If they've got a hiring campaign going on, or maybe a job fair that's coming up in the spring, something like that would be a perfect idea. You've got shift work, you've got office work, you've got all types of positions at the company. There would be a wonderful situation to reach as many people as possible to apply for all the positions that you have available in your company. That's a great use of radio for a B2B company. B2C is the main focus and function of radio. It's a mass media. There are also different ways that you can leverage radio, and that would be for either long-term, say, top-of-mind awareness, or short-term sales and quick spikes from time to time. Now, I would not recommend the quick spikes as your live and die method of using radio. That becomes one of those deals where you start doing more damage actually with your audience, with your customers, than you do with the company. It's not that radio is failing, it's that the listeners are starting to get used to it. And when you have a sale the first weekend of every month, and then the other 3 weeks of the month are dead and you're not making any sales, it's because we've trained our audience to only look for the sales. Some of the most successful campaigns I've had, for example, were with a furniture company, and their slogan was, "We don't have sales. We simply drop our prices a little bit so you can get a great deal today and take home whatever it is you want." That was their deal. They never had sales because they knew the ins and outs of the furniture business. Now, there are other people who live and die by sales. Some folks will tell you that that type of sale mentality is going to be like, you know, taking heroin. You get a quick hit and then it dies. And then you get a quick hit and then it dies. It's a very scary way to run a business. But to be able to use radio in such a way where you become the number one thing that they think about when somebody mentions a category, that's the power of radio. For example, if I were to say toothpaste, what's the first brand you think of? Might very well be Crest. Crest is probably one of the absolute number one toothpaste in the market. That would be a great place to build that top of mind awareness for Crest, would be on the radio. Yes, they've done a wonderful job over the years with TV, but I'm just saying, as an example, that's a perfect way to do it. So if you're looking for more advice on radio, we've got several other videos coming up. Be sure to like and subscribe and listen to those, because there's plenty more where that came from, and there's more that will be coming out over the next few weeks and months. Also, anything regarding any type of audio or video production that turns into marketing or advertising for your business, that's what we do here. So be sure to like and subscribe and get the benefit of all of the videos to get you ahead in your niche. Some other key elements to radio that you can leverage really big time. First of all, you want to connect emotionally with your listeners, not logically. There's so many times when we talk about, oh, I saved this much money, or the interest rates were really low, or they made me a great deal. That's not it. Let me give you the best example. I bought a car one time because it looked great in my driveway. I kid you not. This car dealership was actually, my wife at the time had bought several cars from them. They knew her, they trusted her, and I came along and they said, oh yeah, no, we know her. You guys just go ahead and take the car for overnight. Bring it back in the morning. Well, I'm walking through my living room and I look out the big bay window and I see that car sitting in the driveway and I go, oh, that looks good. Needless to say, the next day I bought the car because it did look good. Now, I told everybody at work, we got a great deal, the interest rate was low, they knocked $2,000 off, blah, 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 blah. I justified the purchase logically, but I bought it emotionally. And if you can cater your ads to the emotional side, you're going to do a much better job. And now when it comes to scheduling, if you're talking to a radio rep and they present you with a schedule, here are some other things to look for depending on your budget, okay? This is depending on your budget. Radio works great with repetition. Now, how do you leverage that to the best potential? Number one, I look for stations that have a high TSL, that's time spent listening. How long are people staying tuned in to this particular station? If it's the hit music station, chances are you've got 3 or 4 in the market. And the people listening to that type of music, they want to hear a song that they like and they want to hear it right now. And if station number 1 isn't playing it, they're going to bounce over to station number 2 to see what they're playing. Oh, they're not either? Let's go to station 3. What is station 3 playing? Oh, station 3, yeah, that's an okay song. Let's just check 4. 4, no, let's go back to 3. So by the time they've settled on what station, they've been bouncing around 3 or 4 stations. The stations with the best TSL, or time spent listening, are formats like the ones that get set and people forget it. They just listen all day long, such as, and I know you're going to be starting to nod your head soon, classic rock, news talk, sports talk, and contemporary Christian. Those 4 formats people tend to set on their dial and walk away and just listen all day long. Those are the stations that, if their demographics match up with your ideal customer or client, that might be a really good place for you to start placing some radio ads. I'm just saying. You could run something from, say, 6A to 7P. That would be called the ROS, or run of schedule, and just sprinkle my ads throughout the day. Those you may end up with a little less expensive, but what you want to look for is something of a frequency. You're shooting for reach and frequency now, but a frequency of 3 or greater. In other words, in the course of a week, how many times did they hear your ad? They heard it 3 times or more. Now, after a while, trying to get more frequency out of it, it's going to be a cost-benefit thing. The price is going to start going higher and higher and higher, and you're going to cross over a certain threshold that you probably don't want to be paying for that little extra bump in frequency. But if you can get right around a 3, that becomes effective, and it's okay price-wise. But again, it's your budget, you be the judge. One way to get around that completely and totally is, let's say you go ahead and pick, say, 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 news sponsorships, or weather, or traffic, or sports, any type of element that they have maybe during the morning show that is repeated over and over again, and you lock in, say, the 740 edition. So 740 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We are creatures of habit, and chances are you're going to be doing the same thing right around 740, plus or minus 2 minutes or so, every single day, Monday through Friday. And if you're listening to your favorite radio station and you hear that news broadcast at 740, you're going to get that sponsorship over and over and over again. And it's going to sound like, oh my, those guys are always on the air. They're not. They're just on the air when you're listening. So if you can leverage something like that, budget providing, if you can leverage something like that, all the better. So I hope that helped in some small way. I do have something for you regarding your radio commercials, the ultimate guide to creating radio commercials. This is stuff that will help you connect with your listeners and blow your competition away better than most of the ads that are on the radio right now. So look down below in the description. You'll see a link there. Click on that and get your copy right now. I'm Nic Natarella with AdWise Creative. Thank you for watching.